Good morning, Lynsey. This is the video I promised. Apologies for my voice. I'm kind of still in that detox mode. It's better than it was like a couple days ago, but still kind of raspy. Plus, I've been leaking this morning already. Thanks. It's good. So yeah, we're sitting here at the kitchen table. I got my Mexican coffee. Yummy. I'm not sure what you're drinking. You're in England, so maybe tea. Doesn't matter. I'm just happy to be with you. Warts and all. It's kind of cold in the trailer this morning. It's freezing out, barely, but the sun's out. I think it's going to be pretty warm for Colorado. They said we're going to get a white Christmas starting tomorrow night into Sunday. I don't know. I don't trust the weatherman anymore, but we'll see. I hope we do. That would be comforting. Yeah, I mentioned something in the texting this morning that, you know, I probably don't share some of the things that I struggle with because, I'm protecting you, or I feel like if I share those things, it dampens things or whatever. And I think you're pointing out that just cuts me off from you. So I'm going to share one thing that happened yesterday. I forgot to put it in my processing last night. I was going to write it today, but since we've been communicating and I decided to do this video, I'll just tell it to you. So yeah, Karen came over here. She was just sitting at the table right there, 5 feet away. And, I don't think she really has anybody to talk to. She talks to her housemate, Henrietta, who, they knew each other in college. So it goes way back. But, you know, I'm that person who will sit there and listen. Oh God. So anyway, she's like talking. I told you she doesn't take a breath, and she kind of stopped in the middle of it. I don't even remember what she was talking about. And she looks at me and she goes, "You don't think I'm a narcissist, do you? Nobody else does. My therapist doesn't. Jeff doesn't. Henrietta doesn't." She named off all these people who assure her she's not a narcissist. But just out of the blue. And I could tell she was fishing, for something. And I was sitting there. I think I mentioned yesterday that, it felt awkward because that's one of those instances as a Buddhist, as a Jesus following Christian. What would Jesus do? I think there are some instances where it's better to say nothing if you can't say something kind. There's other situations where you have to turn the tables over. So that's what makes it awkward. Like there's this whole side of the conversation that's off limits, I feel. Because if I was to say, I mean, we're just sitting here at the kitchen table, I'm going to talk. If I was to say to her, well, actually, I do think you're a fucking narcissist and you play mind games. I believe you don't even know you're doing it most of the time. If I was to say something like that, well, that would be the end of the gray rocking right there. And I would be in for an argument. It would trigger all of her strategies for pushing my buttons and, you know, basically eviscerating me. And within a short period of time, the tables will have turned and she'd be talking about what a narcissist I am. And so while I was sitting there, I was like, man, I don't really give a shit. You know, we're at the end here. All I feel is gratitude. You know, I'm getting to discover that there are people out there who understand these things and who've been around these things and who don't want them in their own life either. But yeah, I thought that was a bit of manipulation, and it's still here, you know, in my vibe. So this would be the kind of thing that I would not normally share because it doesn't feel all love and roses. So I got to work on that. I got to work on that. You said you want all of me. Well, I want to give you all of me. I want all of you. I want you to give me all of me. All of me. I want you to give me all of you. You can't give me me. I had to give me. Oops, you made me smile with my mouth open. Oh my God. Kind of scary. So yeah, maybe it's a deal. You want me, you want all of me. Think about when you're not sharing some things because you're uncomfortable or you're used to not sharing those kinds of things. Maybe I'm feeling cut off from you when you do that. You're a very sensitive person, and so am I. So am I. I feel you. And when I don't feel you, I feel it intensely. It takes my breath away. Not in a good way. So yeah, you're indicating that you don't want me to drop out. You don't like that cutoff feeling. As Kurt Vonnegut would say, you know, be sure of what you're asking for. I'm not saying that as a threat. I'm just saying I'm a lot. And if I choose to share all of me to the best of my ability, it's a lot. Maybe not always verbally, but I think you'll feel it. Pretty sure. So I have Lee's chart up here. Excuse me. And, the first thing I always do, I look at how many planets above, how many planets below. Like me, he has all but 2 below the line. 8 below, 2 above. Unlike me, well, let's keep with the mic, like me. His Saturn is in the 7th house of committed relationship, same as me. I think I mentioned, like, when you first gave me this information, that was one of the things I noticed. So it guarantees whether he's in a relationship or not. He's filtering through relationship. So if he's not in a relationship, he's filtering his life through the absence of relationship, committed relationship. Mostly, with a partner, but it could be any other, close committed relationship. It's crucial. But at the same time, with all of that archetypal energy below the line, it can be very painful for him to be around people at times. Actually painful. Draining. Speaking from experience here. So he can get energy from a partner, but anything beyond that has a tendency to drain him, except that 12th house Mars in Virgo. It seems like he's drawn to a collective desire for healing at the collective level. He's interested in the world healing its divisions. In fact, if he was ever to find a way to express that formally, materially, he would be an asset to the movement, a warrior for the movement, and he would get a lot of energy from that. A lot of energy. It would help him in his relationship, because he wouldn't be focusing all of his maybe neediness, on one person. He would be allowing it to flow into a collective effort. So that jumps out. But mostly, his energy needs to recharge inwardly, doing things by himself or being in his safe place. So you as a mother, I'm learning about you through these charts. He's got Neptune in Cap down there in the 4th house of the mother. So you are the mystic in his life. Neptune in Capricorn, that whole generation that was born with that, I bet you Shane has it too. No, Shane's got, it had moved into Aquarius, so. But Lee was part of the generation with Neptune in Capricorn. Which is really potent, because The mystic, Neptune, needs structure to thrive. Needs structure in place so she can let go and function without worrying about, the chaos that she is capable of creating. The whirlwind, the storm, the tornado. So there in the fourth house for Lee, you are both, look, I'm reading the chart. I don't know how often you see him. I don't know how involved you guys are in each other's life right now. But on an archetypal level, that's what I'm talking about, okay? I'm going to start crying again. Feeling it really intensely today, man. On an archetypal level, you represent both this beautiful mystic union with everything that is. He may not consciously accept it, but that's what you are. Your ability to read him on some level is a comfort. It's a touching stone for him. And the fact that it's in Capricorn is grounding for him. I don't know what his life is like, I hope that he can access this part of his being through you. It's very powerful. Eight planets below the line. South Node in Aquarius in the fifth. Moon, Uranus in its own sign, all in Aquarius, fifth house. Super intense fifth house, but the fifth house is lighthearted and carefree, childlike curiosity, fun-filled adventures, spontaneous expression from the heart. So I'm feeling that Lee has the capacity in this world, at least energetically, to translate the transpersonal, collective, the big picture, the numinous, into something understandable for those around him, something less potent or less threatening. He's able to make it okay. He can put people at ease around the deep things. He can also help people find themselves within the big picture. He has a grasp on that. He has an intuitive understanding of where he is in the big picture, or even what the big picture looks like. He has a gift that way. This is, there's a form of intuition here, I feel, I'm getting, that other people may read as eccentric. It's an energy where he's the hub of a wheel that has a lot of spokes on it. And because he's connected somehow, he needs to be connected to a lot of souls, a lot of people in a network. He's like at the console, managing all of that. It's for him. It's an interior process or an interior unfoldment because he's introverted. But he needs that connection with everything, everyone. It could be a source of longing for him when he doesn't feel that connection. But when the way that people experience him, they more than likely sense that his emotional body is devoted to the network. We used to say married to the collective. My friend Lisa Schiavone is like that. She is very graceful with it. She's got other things in her chart, so it's not purely idealist energy. And so maybe, I haven't gone into it all the way. There's other parts of Lee's chart. But I've known other strong idealist types who people, including myself, at least initially feel like you can't get close to them because there's no way to feel like all of their energy and attention is on you because they're at the hub of the wheel and they're connected to a lot of other things at the same time, a lot of other people, a lot of other concerns. And that's just their nature. It's how, ideally, the idealist needs to be married to the collective. So yeah, it can bring up jealousy issues, abandonment issues for people just by being in that energy. And so in our culture, we label that as eccentric. Oh, they're above it all. They're floating above it all. They're keeping themselves aloof. But that's not really it. Their affection is just spread out in a way that the other archetypes feel a vacuum because of that sometimes. But the fact that it's happening in the 5th house means that he can still be ingratiating to people when he wants to. The energy that he can afford to give to one person at a time is warm. It's warm-hearted. It's genuine. It can be funny, I think there are some comedians out there who are idealist types who still find a way to relate to people on an individual level. My voice. If I drink coffee, I'll start coughing. If we were really sitting at a kitchen table, I'd let you talk too. If this was live on Zoom, you'd be talking. I hope my voice holds out. Ooh. So yeah, South Node in Aquarius, 5th house. Karmic imperative to be the idealist. You know, even as an introvert, to find himself in the big picture, what's his place, to be that hub of the wheel, to have those connections. You know, we in this modern world, we're online all the time. So an introvert can connect with other people on his or her own terms, when they want, how they want. So he can manage being connected to a lot of people in a way that doesn't drain him if he wants to. But part of that South Node is recognizing that he probably came in with a wound. You know, the big wound for the idealist is the absent father complex. And it's interesting that, you know, your boys, their father took them with him. And I know that's a fucked up story. If I was sitting there with you, I would want you to tell me it again. But I know it hurt you. And he lied about you. And he turned them on you. A real father doesn't fucking do that. A real father understands that their children need their mother. So in some way, that rupture the negative film shows an absent father. I don't know what they got, but the father isn't there, or wasn't. I don't know. I don't know how that works. God, I got angry. Sorry. And so it sets up this lifetime of working it out to heal that idealist wound. Man, I got angry and it hurt my neck. I got all tense up there. Working it out over the lifetime. You go to the North Node in Leo. So big reciprocity here. 5th house, 11th house, idealist, golden child. So it's a great setup to have all that Aquarian energy in the 5th house. South Node in Aquarius, North Node in Leo. Working that opposition. Leo lightens everything up. It reminds him not to take himself so seriously, hopefully. Gives him the ability to do that. It's good for him to remember life is not that serious. You know, I need to remember that having fun is good medicine. Doing things on the spur of the moment, spontaneously, super nourishing for him. it gives him insights that were stuck when he was feeling the heaviness of his wound. Helpful insights, healing insights. Also, Libra rising is his other karmic imperative. So we're back to that Saturn in the 7th in Aries. You know, what comes up for me, this is just spontaneous intuition. When he's in a committed relationship and they're fighting, there's conflict, things go out of balance. I just get this feeling, you know, of a tendency to retreat. When the warrior wound flares up in relationship, in deep committed relationship, it's almost like there's a resentment that the partner is not fulfilling that 12th house imperative to join him in the crusade to heal the world. He gets so much energy in that from that 12th house position. You know, the house of karma. You know, he literally came here to be part of that effort, to pull the world back from the brink. He may not recognize it even, but it's there. And the shadow of that warrior, who he is, shows up in relationship because somehow that person, that partner, isn't fulfilling that mission for him. There's some confusion there about what, I'm assuming her, but it could be him, role is in his life. It's not, she didn't have to fulfill that 12th house mission. He does. But it can get confusing for him. God, I'm scratching myself. What the hell? This has really got me going somewhat. I don't know. What the hell? Deep breath. Yeah, I would just want to tell him, you know, these are two different compartments of his external world. She, the partner, doesn't have to be part of the crusade. In fact, it's probably better that she isn't. Could be. But I can see where that resentment would come up because there's this assumption, you know, that they share a common mission in life, where that may not be true. There may be another point of commonality that they build around, and it's a refuge from the battle. I'm just going to leave it at that. Where are we at? Half hour. He's an idealist, first and foremost. Second, communicator and warrior. So we've talked a bit about all of that. And also lover and dark mother. He's got a strong dark mother. So I've touched on all those other archetypes. So the dark mother, Pluto in Sag, conjunct Sun. Third house, Pluto, house of the communicator. Sign of the teacher traveler. Feels things deeply. I'll bet he has penetrating eyes with fire in them. Sagittarius. You got that Aries, Saturn in the 7th. Mars on the ascendant. All that shit in the 5th house. A lot of fire. A lot of vitality. And now we got this intense depth. He could probably hold your gaze, I'm guessing. This is someone who, when he gets out of emotional balance, is formidable. That's the word, formidable. His emotions are they carry the potential I'm just going to say, I'm not going to get over dramatic here. I'm just going to say there's an intensity there that would tell another person to kind of just give him space. He does feel things really deeply. And when things are out of balance, when he's not getting nourished by the collective, when he perhaps is looking for nourishment from the collective, but projecting expectation on the nearby people, things go out of balance. and yeah, it could just, I think you might have mentioned that there's a tendency toward down emotions, and I can see that here. He thrives when he's part of a collective effort, a group effort around healing on the big stage. So I could go on and on, but I don't want to make this too long. I'm going to take a break from this and talk to you. So yeah, like what came up there for me? Why was it so intense? I think my heart goes out to him. I feel like his chart could be alienating for people, even though it's also, that 5th house, that 5th, 11th correspondence. He has the ability to make people feel safe and warm, lighthearted. So when he chooses to lighten up himself, or when he's in a space where he feels lighthearted, it's very attractive. it's when he's out of balance, or I'm using that term, but you know what I mean. When those cylinders are not all firing together, um, there's a repelling persona shield that can be awkward for people. Moon in Aquarius alone, let alone conjunct Uranus, um, can have this kind of repelling effect, because people are wanting to connect at that heart level, that spontaneous fifth house level, but his attention is naturally dispersed. And so people, like I said, interpret that as being aloof and eccentric. At the same time, if he's out of balance, his emotions could be vibrating at a low level, but very intense at that level. And people notice that, it registers. So my heart is going out, and I would look longer into it and try to dig deep. And maybe you and I can do that sometime. I would actually like that. To go over this with you instead of me reading it. But just like for right now, this one piece around recognizing and accepting that he filters so much of his life, all of this, through committed relationship with a partner, wherein there is a likelihood of conflict. When that confusion comes up, where he is putting an expectation on the other person to fulfill his 12th house sense of mission, there's a clue there where he needs to give permission to that partner to occupy a different role in his life and to build that relationship around that different role, so that he has a refuge in the storm. That would help bring balance to these other areas and give him permission to be in that relationship just as he is, but without demanding that it connect in the way that he's connected in all the other areas of his life, if that makes sense. I feel that would bring a lot of healing to him. But I would love to go over this, because I think there's other clues, there's other things that would also contribute to that healing. Shane is also, I finish up what I'm saying. I'm just feeling all of that conflict in myself. Got me worked up. And then that little piece about the absent father and what little I know triggers my warrior. Makes me want to fuck somebody up, to be honest with you. Makes me want to go biker mode. I'm going to take a pause. I had to blow my nose. Walk around a minute. Shane, 3 planets above the line, leaving 7 below. So he's also pretty introverted. You have 2 introverted boys because you gave birth to them in the middle of the night, which is I mean, it seems to be the cycle you're in now, too. You're kind of alive at night. But anyway, that's what ends up happening. It puts the sun, at the bottom of the chart. And so all those inner planets go south of the line. And it gives a 50-50 chance for all the other planets to be down there, too. So people who are born in the middle of the night are usually at least, halfway introverted. And it turned out that both your boys are predominantly introverted. Shane has one more planet above the line. I'm telling you all this, you already know it. You looked at these 1,000 times. But his above the line are in the 7th and 8th, which is the same as me. So kind of the limit of his connection, like Lee has 12th house, Mars. So he's in that 4th quadrant, which is, the big stage, the world stage, big missions. Shane is more, committed relationship. He also has Saturn in the 7th. Wow. They both do. Wow. And so does moi. So yeah, he turns to committed relationship. And then 8th house, the house of death, rebirth, sexuality, deep intuition, emotion, deep emotion, Scorpio, and everything that goes with it. It's connected to the 7th there, relationship, intimacy. So that extroverted energy is expressed a lot through this need for intimacy outside of himself, it's good for Shane to be around feelingful people. It would be really good for him to spend more time with his mother. Maybe he spends time with you. I don't know, but it would be good for him. It would be good for both of them, obviously. But being around feelingful people, I'm getting that Shane would feel at home. It would nourish him. It would help him with his intimacy wounds. Having Saturn in Gemini, is mental. It's, I would imagine in partnerships, committed relationship, part of the partner's role, big part, is to meet him intellectually, exchange ideas, share information, laughter. But, talking about things on the conceptual level it would be invigorating and oddly a source of intimacy, bonding around thinking. You need somebody who thinks, who can grapple with concepts. But he needs that 8th house stuff. Moon and Jupiter in Cancer needs all of that to feel truly intimate. And so in a relationship, he's leaning on the mind to bond with his partner, building around that bond. And I can imagine that there could be, if that partner doesn't have some Scorpio or Cancer, um, I'm going to go to those two water signs. I'm not getting so much the mystic. Um, that partner would need, to have some nourishing mother, some dark mother, to be able to go deeper, to drop out of the mind and experience an intimacy that doesn't require grappling with concepts, that can just hang out in the depths, kind of like what we're doing here at the kitchen table, getting real. Would be good for Shane, having somebody he can do that with, to get all raggedy, open up, dark mother, nourishing mother, they're okay with a little blood. They're okay with a little snot, tears. More than okay. The exchange of bodily fluids. Maybe some whipped cream. He'd get energy from that intimacy. And even, without going into the sexual part of it, having platonic friendships with feelingful people, hanging out for a pint somewhere, somebody he can talk to, get below the surface, somebody who asks the right questions to help lead him there, help him with that intimacy wound I'm getting. The hell do I know? Just looking at the Pluto, it's a ruling planet there in the first house. I mean, first house is represents the first cycle you encounter coming into the world. And there it is, Dark Mother in the sign of the Teacher Traveler. South Node in the sign of the Teacher Traveler. First house. So it's actually part of his, warrior process of self-discovery to find a way to be intimate with people. And to the extent that is awkward or difficult, well, there's a big wound. There's some trauma there. My ears just kicked into a whole different orbit right there. Wow. I think I had touched one there. Holy shit. I'm feeling you. Both your boys need this, not just Shane. Lee does too. But for Shane, it's actually, a part of his self-concept is, can I be met in these deep places? Where the hell do I have to go? How far do I have to wander? It could kick off a lifelong search. And he doesn't even realize that he has that longing. I don't know. Maybe he does. Apparently in this world, It's easier for some than others to migrate to kindred spirits who will meet them in that deeper place. But for Shane, it's kind of important. It's actually really important. Scorpio rising, it's a it's a karmic imperative. He came here into this lifetime to heal his intimacy wounds. And it's so hard for men, especially who have a broken beginning in life. Men are taught to be strong, stoic, don't show your feelings, don't show weakness, laugh it off, change the subject, divert. Oh no, I'm fine. Don't worry about me. Don't baby me. In fact, leave me alone. Men with a strong, dark mother, like both your boys, are not supported in this culture. This is a wounded patriarchal wound. We fucking burned her at the stake millennia ago. She's the harlot. The most wounded archetype of all 12. The Dark Mother. Men who carry the Dark Mother are trapped in that patriarchal wound. I know it's all buzzwords, but you know what I'm saying. The deck is stacked against anyone really carrying that way. A woman carrying the Dark Mother is treated like Jezebel, shunned or abused, tossed around like a hot potato. Men, it's a repressive thing. Here I am at this stage of the game, and I've known about this for a long time. God, since 1991, 30 plus years. I've been aware of all this. I've been working on it. And, you still notice when I cut off. There a lot of complexes come up around this archetype because it's so emotional, and it can be so destructive to ourselves and the other. Which, if we have a heart, we avoid that at all cost. That's where the repression comes from. So men need help. Lee, Shane are no different. Need help. And this world doesn't really give it. We still depict the Dark Mother as a fucking whore. It's been going on for at least 2,000 years. There's hope for change, but it's worse now than it ever was, because we're not genuinely transmuting her. We are further distorting her, further confusing the issue, cheapening it. And it's getting reflected in our youth, man. So if your boys just in general have an emotional deficit, it does show up here. They need role models, male figures who depict and project a dark mother who takes responsibility for herself and who finds a healthy way to express, those positive qualities. She is a mother. She's creative. She does give new life. Oh, by far the most beautiful. I see you in this archetype. It's so beautiful. Looking at you across the kitchen table. I might just stand up and plant one on your lips. You're so beautiful. So yeah, I'm gonna let go of this one. I'm just getting it, in my dark mother depths. I'm getting this quest energy, the wounded healer's journey is what Shane is all about. And he has the capacity to be a great healer. So does Lee. But, the dark night cannot be sidestepped. Better to move through it early. Wish I had. Wish I hadn't successfully avoided it as long as I did. But I understand, I understand it's scary as fuck. No wonder there's a wheel of samsara. This world makes it really difficult to go through the dark night, to get that depth healing that we must go through. But people who carry the dark mother especially don't get to go around. They have to go straight through. Bottom line. Nourishing mother, dark mother. He's also an artist priestess, teacher traveler, idealist, mystic. All three of the transpersonal energies represented there. Lee's got two of them, plus a prominent mystic in his fourth house. So you provide the third one to him. Hour and 3 minutes. Yeah, I get this image of Shane as being on a quest. Whether he travels far and wide or not, I don't know. He has a questing heart. He's on the hero's journey big time. Whether he knows it or not. He's looking for the golden ring. It's actually a karmic imperative, South Node in Sag. First house, Pluto in Sag. Seventh house, Saturn in Gemini. He may focus his search through a partner. And we're back to that whole, taking it deeper through the eighth house, nourishing mother. It all goes together. But I get this questing energy from him. With that artist priestess archetype, he needs a home base. He needs a nest in order to function properly. He needs to really feel at home. I'm laughing because these stories you're telling me of taking the tree down and redecorating 4 times, it's an artist priestess thing. Big time. Oh God, I'm using that phrase. Where'd that come from? So I'm envisioning his home, where he lives, his domicile, as a place where it needs to be comfortable. It needs to be decorated in a way that reflects his inner being. The furniture needs to be arranged just so. The lighting has to be just right. Colors, textures, objects that signify something meaningful. All of that kind of stuff. And it could take, if he moves into a new place, it could take, 6 months to settle in, if ever. Shit, I haven't settled into a place in 35 years. Questing. So that could be another area where, there's this restless spirit. And so the chart is saying, through the artist priestess archetype, find your way to your place in the world. Make it a home. Inhabit your home. One moment at a time, fully. And it will be a base of strength, groundedness, from which all else emits, projects, proceeds, unfolds. And the teacher traveler, the quester. Needing to broaden his range of experience so that he can gather experiences and transmute them into wisdom, as his mother has been doing all the way along. That happens naturally. People who come into contact with Shane are automatically in a teacher-student relationship, back and forth. He would make a great teacher anyway. The students would feel connected to him emotionally. Pluto and Sag. But he's a perpetual student as well. And so this is happening automatically when he encounters anybody who, spends more than a little bit of time with him. He can't help but impart what he knows. And he can't help but have a curiosity around what the other person knows. He wants to know. He wants to learn. And he wants to share what he knows. So yeah, I'm getting that both your boys kind of share energetically a lot in common. That 7th house Saturn, it's a big one. The predominance of introversion, the need to recharge inwardly in their own space, to feel like that's accessible. Both of them very important. both connected to the world in a very deep place. And I mean, both of them. Shane probably a little more, but can't we can't we can't discount that deep transpersonal energy in Lee, because he's got it going on too. It's just that it's so idealist that it's not as accessible. Um, Shane has the idealist going on too, but he's got that strong dark mother, strong nourishing mother, pronounced, put it that way, that people can more readily identify with. And he's this natural teacher type that who can engage around the exchange of information, exchange of wisdom, that is very attractive. And I think Lee has that, really pronounced sense of mission. And it's a sense, not everybody does anything with it formally, but on an archetypal level, it's definitely there. And, it would be so good for him to find a way to join in the cause. And loosely stated, that cause has to do with health and healing. And I'm getting intuitively that the form of that health and healing is social in nature. But more than that, it's more than that, because it's not just humanity. It's the ecosystem and the structure and system of the world. There is a desire in him to participate in an effort to heal the ruptures, the disconnections, the distortions, the what's the word I want to use? The corruption. He knows where the corruption is out there in these different systems. And he does have a desire. In fact, I bet he has a lot of ideas on how to fix it. And he wants to be a part of that effort. And whether he knows it or not, he does. And it would take a lot of pressure off that relationship space and family space to be able to have a meaningful participation in such an effort. I'm getting that Shane has a karmic imperative to express the inexpressible, to communicate it. And, while that may be impossible, ultimately, we still need people to do that, to make the effort. His being needs intellectual understanding. He'd be running all through this through his partner. And for him, a pathway to feeling intimate is to be able to talk about and hear about in an intellectual way through the mind, discussing concepts that have to do with the depths, emotion, love, the mystic realm, intuition. I heard you the other day just saying, God, I hope he gets interested in spirituality, or I hope they do. Yeah. It would open up so much. it would release this lock. It would be really good for him. I feel like I'm sitting here at the kitchen table with you. I've grown so close to you. This helped me. Everything helps me. It's so much to ask, Yeah, it is. You told me to stop blocking you. Well, man, I bet you're feeling me right now. I'm getting the visual distortions I described are just freaking blasting right now. I'm looking, I have a tapestry. You can't see it right now. My green one. See that? That white part? It's 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 a flower of life pattern. I keep looking over here and like all the circles are just doing this energetic thing. It's dancing in front of my eyes, and it just tells me that the energy is just going straight out of my heart, straight to you. It feels safe for me. I hope it does for you. Um, I'm going to try not to hold back unless I hear from you. The energy, I'm going to be honest with you. I've been talking to her. I've been praying. The depths of my soul are saying, Mike, it's time. And I'm committed. I was told once that I'm a red giant. I got a reading at the Psychic Institute, and there were like half a dozen of them reading me. And they all just started laughing the minute I sat down. And they were looking at each other, and I'm like, what? And they were all like, you're a red giant. And they're all like, yep, he's a red giant. And I was like, what the hell is a red giant? Apparently, my first incarnation was here on Earth when the Earth was born. And I don't know if that was when, Tiamat was broken in two, or if it was the birth of Tiamat at the Big Bang, or something else. I don't know. But my soul is somehow identified with this planet, whether it's round or flat or whatever the fuck. And there's only a handful of them, and it's our job to be like a pillar. In Shiite Islam, they have these pillars they talk about all the time. And when I first learned about it, I was like, I wonder. But this energy came to me for a reason. When I was a little 4-year-old boy, after I got molested, Jesus came to me. Ever since then, I was like, well, there's going to come a time later on when that energy that came out of me then is supposed to just be the on switch. Just turn it on. Leave it on. Don't turn it off. And all my training as a jhana yogi, that's been in the back of my mind. I calculated it over 10,000 hours on the cushion through 2009. A lot of Buddhist monks can't say that. It was my life for years. And now I'm like, the world fucking needs it. It needs your energy. So I don't want to hurt you. I'm more than willing to restrain it if it's too much. I want to share myself with you. On my quest, I would love a partner who I can share it with. I wouldn't be so damn alone. But I'm keeping an eye on it, man. Keeping an eye on you. I'm feeling you. I adore you. I adore you. Don't be afraid of my emotions. Don't be afraid of my feelings. Thank you for introducing me to your boys. Thank you for introducing yourself through your boys. I'm learning about you. I hope you feel like it's okay to share everything with me too. Wish you were here this morning. Un abrazo.